Welcome to the Eye Architecture class. This is not a standard step-by-step beauty tutorial. We are going to look at eye makeup strictly as a system of spatial logic, controlled contrast, and exact placement theory. We begin with the biological canvas. Dana's eyes are green, highly luminous, softly almond round, and slightly upturned. This specific structure dictates every choice we make. The standard approach to glamour dictates using heavy, opaque pigment to create drama. Applying that technique here is a structural error. It buries naturally expressive, luminous features under unnecessary visual weight. This mapping diagram illustrates eye architecture. It shows how we use shape, contrast, light, and lift to mathematically guide visual focus directly to the iris. Every application moves with the same upward and outward rhythm as the rest of her face. To accomplish this, we rely on a strict set of structural roles. Brows frame, shapes, liner lifts, lashes open. When these distinct roles are maintained, we engineer soft outward lift while rigorously preserving the openness of the eye. The viewer notices the eye itself, not the makeup surrounding it. Each element of eye makeup has a functionally independent role. If you blur these boundaries, if shadow tries to become the frame, or lashes act like a curtain, the structural integrity collapses and the eye looks heavy. To execute the soft lifted almond strategy, we keep the inner and center lid perfectly clear. We build depth and definition exclusively toward the outer third. The first structural element is the brow. It acts as the anchor for facial expression and organizes the overall contrast of the upper face. This side-by-side comparison shows the non-negotiable rule for the brow. It requires an airy front, a supported middle, and a cleanly lifted tail. A dense accumulation of product at the front of the brow creates artificial tension, making the face look stern. A clean, tapered tail does the opposite, providing essential upward lift. The color palette for the brow remains strictly within neutral warm taupe to soft brown. Pigments that are too dark introduce harsh contrast, and excessively red tones read as artificial against the skin. The texture should be softly spooled. Brushing the hairs into a rigid vertical shape, like heavily laminated brows, creates a highly constructed finish that reads as visually frozen. The brow exists to quietly and structurally frame the eye area. It should never dominate the visual hierarchy of the face. We apply the same spatial logic to eyeshadow. We do not use shadow to cover the eyelid in darkness. We use it to shape the eye precisely through a sequence of light, warmth, and depth. This breakdown highlights where light belongs. Champagne on the mobile lid preserves openness. Next, soft taupe in the crease carves dimension, avoiding a sunken socket. Finally, espresso depth is localized at the outer corner, extending upward. This elongates without collapsing lid space. This structure relies entirely on correct color theory. Green eyes require muted warmth, bronzes, soft browns, and muted olive. These shades create a soft complementary contrast that makes the iris stand out. Cool grays, silvers, and icy frosty whites fight the eye's natural warmth. They disconnect from a warm complexion, causing the eye area to read as tired or artificially weighed down. Marrying this exact spatial placement with a muted warm color palette maintains a luminous eye, avoiding the obscuring effect of a smoky mask. Eyeliner acts as a tool to modify the perceived biological shape of the eye. Brown is the necessary default. It defines the lash line beautifully without creating the harsh, shrinking boundary of black pigment. Placement rules here are strict. The line must remain microscopically thin near the inner corner. A thick inner line will visually swallow the available lid space. As we see in this comparison, the outer third of the eyeliner must subtly follow the natural upturn of the eye. This creates a soft, lifting wing that continues the established rhythm of the brow. Lashes serve a singular architectural function. They open the visual aperture of the eye. Their purpose is not to provide maximum opaque density. This requires precise mechanical curling and meticulous separation of the hairs, rather than coating them in thick, clumpy volume mascara. Emphasizing the outer corner lashes structurally reinforces the upward sweep of the cheek and brow. Dense, full-strip lashes do the exact opposite. They create a heavy canopy that pulls the eye downward. Eyeliner and lashes are mechanical tools of lift. They must work together to reveal the eye, rather than creating heavy borders that lock it in. The single greatest risk zone for structural collapse is the lower lash line. This is where makeup most frequently turns visually heavy. The governing rule for the lower eye is that it must whisper. Any shadow or definition must be strictly restricted to the outer third. Looking at this comparison, dark waterlines and heavy lower liner create a continuous loop of pigment. This visually shrinks the eye and drags the entire feature downward. Conversely, the inner corner is a point of lift. A precise application of cream or champagne awakens the eye. Keep the texture refined and avoid chunky, icy glitters. If the eye begins to look muddy or the lines turn harsh, remember one rule: the solution is almost never adding more product. Correcting visual heaviness demands a disciplined return to the fundamental map. Restore the light on the lid, soften the warm crease, and rigorously clean the lower eye. The structural identity we just built is highly stable. It remains identical regardless of the context, lighting, or environment. For everyday simplicity, a soft taupe and a thin brown liner are enough. For photography, we dial up the contrast slightly to combat the flattening effect of a camera flash, but the spatial map stays the same. These 4 intensity matrix cards demonstrate how the map scales. Evening and professional broadcast contexts require heightened luminosity on the lid and deeper saturation at the outer corner, achieved without defaulting to a black smoky eye. Mastering this single, scalable framework guarantees visual versatility and polish across every possible public-facing space. To ensure the application is correct, you run a diagnostic mirror check. This is a rapid series of questions to verify the structural integrity of the makeup. On this eye chart, we check the specific zones. Are the eyes visibly open? Is the outer corner lifted? Is the color story warm? Is the deepest pigment strictly restricted to the outer edge? The logic holds when the roles are maintained. Brows frame, shadow shapes, liner lifts, lashes open. The ultimate purpose of this architecture is clarity. It ensures the eyes look powerfully visible, expressive, and authentic, elevating the person rather than hiding them beneath a generic mask of glamour.